Afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to give it just a couple more minutes for people to log on. So we'll start our presentation at about 12:03. Thanks for your patience in the meantime. Thanks again, everybody, for joining this afternoon. I will now pass over to Andrew so we can go ahead and get started.
All right, thanks, Nicole. Good afternoon and welcome to everyone in attendance. Thanks for taking the time today out of your busy schedules to join us for our second webinar, the End User Compute Series. If you have any questions during the webinar, please leave them in the Q&A box and we'll respond to you via email at the conclusion of the webinar. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. Let me start with a little quick background, an introduction about myself. My name is Andrew Ortiz. I've been a pre-sales engineer here at AdvizeX for a little over a year, focused in the infrastructure design and architecture areas. My background has been primarily in the enterprise infrastructure space in both the retail and financial segments, specifically in data center automation in the Microsoft space. But more recently, I've expanded into the pre-sales engineering for enterprise end user compute, mobility and device management. So in addition to my own background, I wanted to highlight some of the great partnership between VMware and AdvizeX. Here are some of the notable highlights of our partnership with VMware over the last several years on this slide. Our competencies in the VMware space have continued to drive a strong partnership with VMware and have given us a great opportunity to earn several partner awards. And most recently, we received the VMware Global Professional Services Partner of the Year Award. As you can see on the slide, we continue to be recognized for our continued dedication to VMware solutions and maintain both a high level of accreditation and certifications amongst our engineers, which makes AdvizeX one of the premier VMware resellers in the industry today. So for our agenda today, if you were able to attend our previous session with Joe Clark on end user application delivery, that webinar focused primarily around the Workspace One stack. In this webinar, we'll focus more on the management and deployment of services to customers and management of the devices that these services are consumed on. And so here's our agenda for today. First, we'll explore some of the most common enterprise mobility challenges organizations are facing in today's digital workspace. We'll then briefly review how VMware Workspace One with Identity Manager fits into the overall digital workspace picture. We'll then move into reviewing how AirWatch Unified Endpoint Management can help address some of the mobility challenges faced today. And then finally, we'll review some of the new features rolled out earlier this year across the VMware digital workspace. So let's begin discussing the common enterprise mobility challenges when it comes to the new digital workspace and device management. End user computing has evolved dramatically over the last 7 to 10 years. Let's take a step back about 10 years ago when, in the days when I first started my IT career back in 2004. The status quo more often than not consisted of a Windows desktop, power, monitor, keyboard, mouse, maybe some Macs mixed in that, with 20 plus applications manually installed. DB or shell scripted if you were lucky or had the time, a hardwired desk phone, a shared or local printer, and a BlackBerry if the gods deemed you important enough to have your email on the go, or a good old Motorola Razr. Compare that to now and how we deploy and leverage technology. It's very different. The days of the enterprise driving the technology that you use at work has slowly been shifting towards the user driving the technology that the enterprise deploys. As a result, today customers have developed an expectation to use the technology they carry in their pocket or at home on their couch for work. This revolution is often given the label as the consumerization of IT. If we look at the landscape of mobile computing and IoT today, much of what we saw in science fiction movies 10 to 20 years ago continues to become a reality each and every day through constant technology evolution. This modern reality, though, has enabled a shift in our traditional view of how people work, and it's having a dramatic effect on the enterprise and its ability to deliver a seamless work from anywhere experience. So let's talk about the effects that consumerization is having on the enterprise. Today, we see a very different computing environment across the organization than previous generations. Long gone are the days of a homogeneous landscape of Windows-only environments for IT to manage, and the consumerization of IT has changed that paradigm. Organizations today start with a specific application or software that is best suited for the business, and then back out of that the underlying OS or hardware needs that best deliver that application. This has resulted in a heterogeneous mix of mobile devices, PCs, and other systems and machines that IT teams need to support, and the flexibility and agility to swap out those over time without impacting the business. That said, most organizations rely on different tools, processes, and protocols for managing mobile desktop devices, and many other devices are left unmanaged. Customers desire greater flexibility, especially when it comes to managing how, when, and where they work. Today, organizations are getting increased pressure to provide more intelligent insights about their organization and user behavior to best deliver the IT services possible. Having multiple different tools and systems that house insightful data across MDM, config management, and other third-party tools causes fragmentation of the data, and most often results in inconsistency in the process, training, and most importantly, the end user experience. So how does this fragmentation affect all of us in IT, especially those who support the end user? The fragmentation and separation of devices and tools results in huge headaches for IT. Organizations today struggle with answering basic questions about their computing environment. And as a result of this fragmentation, questions like, how many users have used a specific piece of software in the past 30 days? We want to build a new application for our sales team. Which platform and minimum OS version should we consider using? And if we need to revoke access to an application from a user, which devices were they using to remove that application from? These may seem like easy things to answer. However, most organizations tend to struggle with providing answers to these basic questions. More often than not, it's because the organization has this fragmented management system that I've outlined previously. In addition to not being able to help the business, multiple systems require their own complex integration to other systems and tools. Lastly, all of this comes at the cost of having security as an afterthought, bolted on at the end, creating an even worse user experience. This nets to a more complex system that costs organizations more in the long run. As we look at how mobility has evolved, there are several things that have made this increasingly complex for IT. User requirements are changing. No longer carrying separate devices for work and personal use, users expect the same experience for work apps as they have on their personal apps. They want choice over the type of device they are using, which means that IT is having to manage all of these devices. But with mobile devices, laptops, personal devices, they are still using separate tools to manage these devices. And often there are still separate teams within the organization handling them. Then there's the complex issue of figuring out how to make all of these devices work with their existing infrastructure, with email, VPN, intranet, on all of these different mobile devices. It's not an easy task and can be very costly and ineffective to maintain all of these separate systems. So one of the things we see every organization going through in the industry today is the movement towards a more efficient digital workspace. Today, organizations start their mobile journey by enabling connectivity to email, calendar, and corporate networks, creating unified access for workers. This is where mobile device management was founded several years ago. As companies see employee productivity and engagement increase by mobilizing email, other horizontal collaboration apps are added to that mix, such as content management systems, intranet sites, social, chat, and vertical line of business apps. The focus with mobile application management is shifted to center around the application and the data those apps are handling to ensure security of that corporate data. The inflection point was when enterprises wanted to make existing web apps available on mobile devices, which brought to light several user experience issues. Organizations spent the last 10 years building hundreds of web apps. These apps incorporated business processes and often more specific to departments or job roles. They hit different internal business systems and did not share common identities across each application. Even if they did share a common identity, mobile browsers could not securely provide seamless single sign-on without integration with an identity management and access system. This barrier has prevented larger adoption of mobile beyond the horizontal productivity app. For example, on average, an enterprise user uses 4 apps for work in a day. And a lot of the companies that did not invest heavily in web apps, they still have a lot of legacy Win32 applications in their environment. So VMware took notice of this and fixed the issue with bringing together Workspace One and AirWatch. By integrating enterprise mobility management, identity and access management, and virtual desktop technologies, Workspace One now provides enterprises the ease to move beyond employee productivity to a digital transformation, giving users seamless single sign-on to any app across any device. So let's run through a brief overview of VMware Workspace One. The natural question is, how can we leverage this technology shift to our advantage and develop solutions to address the needs of our customers in this new digital workspace? We all know the simple fact today: in order to meet your business objectives, you need to deliver a great user experience. But wouldn't it be great if you could do this and not need to compromise enterprise security to get there? With Workspace One, VMware has a solution that is easy to deploy, manage, and most importantly, provide a seamless user experience across all users in the organization. So let's talk about consumer simple. VMware Workspace One empowers the digital workspace by firstly being consumer simple. The single most important value prop I can make about Workspace One is that it is indeed consumer simple. What does it mean to be consumer simple? When a user accesses their Workspace One dashboard, they enter a common interface with a list of icons similar to the application launcher on mobile devices. This familiar interface is essential to providing that consumer-friendly interaction that consumers expect today. Also, when they attempt to access the resources that have been allocated to them, they click on the icon and are redirected to the application they just launched without the need to re-authenticate through integration with VMware Identity Manager. Let's talk about enterprise secure. With Workspace One, security of enterprise resources is at the forefront. With support for multi-factor authentication, end-to-end communication, encrypted communication, and single sign-on through VMware Identity Manager, you limit the scope of identity management. And that user who once had 2, 3, 4, 5 identities, sometimes shared identities in some cases, across different applications, has now been consolidated to one specific identity. Additionally, that single identity can be provisioned with specific resources they require, limiting the scope of which corporate resources that user has access to. With VMware Workspace One bridges the gap between the various silos in the organization. Workspace One enables greater flexibility in how users interact with enterprise services on any device by unifying the 3 layers depicted here with apps and identity, device management, and security. With Workspace One, you can deliver enterprise applications and services through a single solution with a cohesive user experience on any device, anytime, anywhere. So before we move further, I wanted to drive this point home so let's take a moment and understand where Workspace One fits into the overall digital workspace picture. Workspace One is the glue that brings together all of the components that make up the digital workspace. This is an important point to understand. Although Workspace One is a product on its own, its true potential is brought to light when deployed with the 4 components of identity management, VMware mobile apps and services, device management through AirWatch, and virtual desktop and app virtualization through VMware Horizon. Now let's move into the core of this presentation and understand how AirWatch complements this cohesive digital workspace experience. Looking at the graphic here on this slide, we can see that the highlighted boxes for both mobile apps and unified endpoint management. These 2 boxes are where AirWatch fits into the overall digital workspace picture. VMware AirWatch plays 2 critical parts in the digital workspace by first providing specialized enterprise services built from the ground up with enterprise features like Content Locker, PIM Browser, and Boxer Email, and secondly, centralized endpoint management with direct integration for virtually every device platform most commonly found in the market today. Expanding further on device management, today, AirWatch supports Windows 7, 8.1, and 10, Windows Mobile, Windows CE, Windows Embedded, QNX 6.5, Mac OS, iOS, and Android. And it's to support these devices across an array of different use cases. Managing a corporate-issued field worker's device that has a very specific purpose, controls associated with it, is very different than a bring-your-own-device user or knowledge worker that's trying to get access to SharePoint, OneDrive, or Office 365. Those are 2 completely different use cases, and the management platform needs to be able to uniquely support both of them. There are other use cases, like userless devices, where you can't rely on the user to perform an action. All of these use cases and the technologies to manage them have been built into the unified endpoint management framework of AirWatch. And all of these endpoints and use cases are managed in a modern way with over-the-air and lightweight management. There's no requirement that a device be joined to a domain, So you can take a device out of the box and it's configured with the right tools and resources. With AirWatch, you are able to push out updates over the air and can manage the full device lifecycle of configuring policies, security settings, and managing apps. AirWatch enables your organization to embrace bring your own mobile device and be able to separate work and personal data on the device. So many users bring their own devices into the organization, and they want to get access to their email or line of business applications, but they want to know that their personal apps and data are kept separate. AirWatch helps you separate work and personal data on the device in a logical container. This enables your work applications to be treated completely separate than your personal apps. This separation enables you to provide data leakage access control through these two different zones of application, so that data from your work app isn't available to be leaked to your personal apps and vice versa. This allows IT to only control and manage the work apps on the device, leaving the personal apps intact. Work apps and data are securely encrypted and contained in the work area, and you as an organization can easily remove only the work data if that device is compromised, leaving all of the personal data intact. AirWatch can also enable, within that workspace, a great set of mobile productivity apps. Being productive on a mobile device is not giving users the same applications they use on their desktop, but giving them access to a suite of purpose-built, mobile-first services. Just granting access to a web application on a desktop when you do not have a full keyboard or mouse is not really as useful on a mobile device. This is why native mobile web app or mobile applications are so important to drive efficiency and productivity. First off, we have Boxer, which is a secure email client that enables the user to seamlessly get access to their corporate email, calendar, and contacts on the device. Boxer has great consumer-grade features built in that make the user more productive to manage their email on the device. There's customized swipe gestures. The users can easily archive or delete emails, create reminders or tasks. There's quick reply, which gives users quick one access to reply to an email if they're running late for a meeting or need to approve an assignment. Calendar availability, with a couple of clicks, you can easily look at anyone's calendar and what their availability looks like. And then you have smart folders as well to easily organize and filter emails. All of these capabilities enable the user to complete tasks quicker on their mobile device, giving them back time, and ultimately making them more effective and efficient on the go. Tightly coupled with Boxer, there's Content Locker. Content Locker helps making accessing corporate content on a mobile device easy for an end user. Many of us are familiar with the problem of having to access all the different files, sync tools, and sharing tools that are available and then all of the different teams that use different tools as well on top of that. So leveraging the combination of OneDrive, Google Drive, SharePoint, Box, and Dropbox, Content Locker can aggregate all of these together in a native mobile application client that's tightly integrated with the email client on the device. This makes searching across multiple repositories and getting access to all of the content in offline mode much easier. And of course, it gives IT the ability to secure and manage that corporate content while it's on the device. Not only does Content Locker enable users to access their content, but it also has built-in workflows to create or edit content from a mobile device with features like add content, edit files, annotation, and secure media capture. There's also another application which is called Browser. This enables seamless workflows between email, content, and intranet browsing. So as your users click on a link in an email, they can have it seamlessly and automatically connect back to the web-based application that may be hosted on your intranet, and it'll open within this browser. All of that without asking the user to connect to a VPN or enter any credentials. The AirWatch set of apps makes this process invisible to the end user with the single sign-on with VMware Identity Manager and app tunneling. In addition, AirWatch includes a secure messaging and social app called SocialCast. Again, this is tightly integrated with your email, content, and web applications. Users are able to easily chat with colleagues and share tasks and projects that they're working on in the messaging framework as opposed to email-based communication. This is all delivered as part of the secure workspace of applications to the end user's device. And all of these apps have been built within the AirWatch privacy framework. So let's talk about the Privacy First initiative from AirWatch. Many of the services that IT wants to provide to their end users are not only corporate devices, but also bring your own devices. With that in mind, you have to have a way to encourage users to adopt these services so they can be efficient on personal devices. The AirWatch Privacy First initiative ensures that users' privacy is always protected and helps IT properly configure policies. To put the end user's mind at ease, there are great tools built in, like a purpose-built website that helps explain to the user how work and personal data are kept separate on the device. This is all meant to help drive engagement and adoption of the AirWatch services on personal devices. So as we all know, IT is constantly challenged to deliver more for the business without additional budget or resources. One of the key advantages of the AirWatch platform is how powerful automation engines ease the strain on IT associated with most solutions. AirWatch provides the tools to fast-track your deployment and makes the initial setup easy so users can get up and running quickly. Utilizing getting started wizards or industry templates to quickly and easily configure device policies and settings, you can also bulk enroll devices with solutions such as Apple Device Enrollment Program, Samsung Knox Mobile Management Enrollment, Android NFC, and IT bulk provisioning for Windows 10. Also, there are several day-to-day tasks that have been made low-touch to enable autopilot for IT with things like user self-service and notifications and the ability to quarantine devices that are no longer compliant. All of these tasks are built into the platform, along with a robust set of dashboards, reports, and BI tools that help you capture great insights across your deployment. So why have so many people chosen AirWatch to help them achieve their digital workspace? First, AirWatch has a very strong, proven track record. Over the last 5 years, VMware AirWatch has been in the leadership quadrant of all of the key analyst reports. AirWatch has a track record of doing some of the largest deployments in the world, helping users change the way they get work done. Looking at the digital workspace landscape, VMware continues to have the most comprehensive digital workspace portfolio, and being able to couple together unified endpoint management, app delivery, identity, bring your own device, and app containment into a single platform. This platform is critical for the enterprise to create a truly comprehensive digital workspace across every single device, mobile to desktop. AirWatch also has a very broad ecosystem of technology partners that integrate with the AirWatch platform today. So the investments you've made in other key areas like security, infrastructure, line of business apps can be used in unison and be part of the digital workspace that's provided. The modern unified endpoint management allows you to manage these devices in a modern way, taking a traditionally heavy and burdensome process of managing PCs, packaging up applications, delivering them out to users, and eliminates that weight, making it as simple and easy as powering on the device over the air and having full control of managing that device and pushing out self-service capabilities for users to access all of their corporate apps. And of course, partnering with professional services organizations like AdvizeX, there are great professional services and education resources that help customers be successful at scoping, deploying, and delivering that digital workspace vision. So moving into the final topic in our agenda today. So what's new with Workspace One and AirWatch in 2017? This past year, VMware has rolled out several new features that further separate the VMware digital workspace from the rest of the pack, putting it directly in the lead. This past spring, we saw an updated endpoint management, simple and secure Android for enterprise with new device onboarding and streamlined configuration, expanding support for Windows 10 with granular patch management and enhanced security controls, readiness for upcoming iOS 10.3 and 11 now, and Mac OS 11, on-device rules engine for purpose-built endpoints. And then under app access control and security, we had unified access controls across cloud and intranet apps, real-time threat detection and access control remediation for Windows, common criteria certification for AirWatch, simplified multi-factor authentication with Apple Watch support, and under the end user experience enhancement, we saw expanding support into high security organizations with secure MIME and email classification, improvements to real-time email notifications and badging, enhanced productivity with new 3D touch gestures and conversation threading, and then a built-in QR code reader for secure access to embedded websites. So for Android devices, new features around Android for work and device enrollment were rolled out this past year. You can now onboard a device with a QR code or via email. You can now set up app permissions and configuration automatically for the user as a part of the device policy. With the enforcement of app-level passcode policies for AirWatch apps and wrapped apps, you can now require a PIN passcode when the application is launched. In addition to the NFC bump method of onboarding work-managed devices, admins can now stage their corporate devices using flows that are available out of the box for Android devices. The AirWatch agent is automatically installed on the device, and the user just needs to enter their username and password to get all of their work apps and settings on the device. With the simplified access for work applications, you can now configure separate app-level passcode for work apps without the need for the entire device passcode. Additionally, app-level permissions can be configured on behalf of the user, eliminating the need for the user to approve new permission requirements in updated applications. The Google Play integration allows admins to search, approve, and configure work apps directly in the AirWatch console without the need for finding the unique identifier of the Android app in the Play Store. And then here are the new features highlighted for Windows. This past year, VMware introduced support for granular update management, Windows Business Store portal, online support, and BitLocker encryption for Windows 8 and 10 Enterprise Pro and Education devices. And we'll go into each of these features in a little more detail here. So building upon the existing support for patch management, AirWatch Unified Endpoint Management now enables IT admins to perform granular patch management and receive detailed reporting on patch compliance. Organizations can now perform patches at the individual patch or device level, bulk assign patches based on smart groups, and receive real-time reports with an actionable dashboard on patch compliance, whether a device is running Windows 10, is on or off the corporate network. So why is this update important? Existing solutions for patch management require devices to be on the corporate network, and with increasingly more mobile users in some companies, they have seen users go for weeks or months without receiving necessary patches. IT struggles to know what portions of their device populations have successfully installed patches and updates. But now you'll have a clear dashboard on what users have successfully installed patches on their device. At the same time, sometimes patches can cause conflicts with critical software running on the user's machine. So IT needs the ability to defer or delay patches for specific groups of users or devices until the patches have been thoroughly tested. VMware AirWatch previously supported BitLocker encryption, but with this update, it now has much more granular control over the BitLocker implementation. The enhanced management capabilities for the native BitLocker encryption in Windows 10 include using TPM for secure authentication and ensuring pre-startup OS integrity, enforcing login PIN for multi-factor authentication and preventing OS auto-resume, suspending BitLocker temporarily for scheduled maintenance tasks, and setting recovery key rotation to protect against the key falling into the wrong hand. Why are these updates important? The enhanced capabilities of VMware AirWatch focus on hardening security and providing a better experience for administrators. On the Windows Business Store Portal online licensing front, VMware AirWatch now supports the online licensing for the store portal, which allows organizations to buy, assign, and revoke and manage license for any Windows Store app. The integration with BSP allows for the distribution of online license applications directly from a custom company catalog, or to silently install an application from the BSP upon device enrollment. They can perform bulk actions such as import, assign, and revoke on these app licenses, and also get complete visibility into license assignments and usage. With this update, customers can now treat applications available in the Windows Business Store portal like they do Apple's volume purchase program, which will help streamline the purchase, allocation, removal, and license management for Windows Store applications. This makes it much easier for IT to manage their application inventory for applications available in the Business Store portal. So very few updates on the iOS, macOS, and tvOS front. There is now support for Mac OS X 10.3 as well as 11, which was recently announced in September. And finally, for AirWatch, the addition of condition-based rules for purpose-built devices, which allow admins to define specific conditions on the endpoint and relay messages back to the AirWatch console in real time. For Workspace One, this year, VMware Verify for Apple Watch was introduced. This enables users to use their Apple iWatch as a second form of authentication when accessing enterprise services within Workspace One. Additionally, a new password vault browser helper extension is now available for Chrome. For any non-SAML-based application, this allows the user to save their credentials for authenticating to the web application. From a security certification perspective, the Common Criteria NIAP v2 certification was added, which certifies VMware AirWatch for National Security System Procurement, according to the Committee on National System Security Policy number 11. AirWatch MDM and MDM Agent were also listed on the Commercial Solutions for Classified Components listing. Now, AirWatch has the highest level of customer security that can be obtained through the procurement and validation configuration. And it also has the most robust unified endpoint management system on the market. Along with some of these changes, there were some new Workspace One pricing and packaging, and they moved into a standard, advanced, and enterprise package. In addition to those package changes, new flexible purchasing options were introduced as well, where you select a bundle, you select the license type that you would like, you choose your deployment method, you pick whether you would want to purchase that as a subscription or perpetual license, deploy it, and then you can add training and support and in those three tiers there for support, either basic, which is included, and then production and enterprise support. From a pricing perspective, here is just the base pricing just for reference, so everyone has a good idea of what those numbers look like in each of those tiers. So how can solutions from VMware help? With VMware Workspace One, IT can address the growing challenges outlined earlier by bringing together both identity management, access control, application delivery, all in a consumer simple package. Along with Workspace One, VMware AirWatch seamlessly integrates device management, network connectivity, data security, and policy management. By integrating enterprise mobility management, identity management, and access management in VDI technologies, Workspace One now provides enterprises the ease to move beyond simple employee productivity to digital transformation, giving users seamless single sign-on to any app across any device. So here's our, just a slide here if you want to learn more about AirWatch and VMware's digital workspace. You can provision an entire functioning environment for your own personal use. This is a full-featured environment with all the necessary components to help you understand what your digital workspace could look like. So if you visit vmwdemo.com, you can go ahead and sign up there and begin your digital workspace transformation. So our call to action. Do you find yourself asking any of these questions? Do you need guidance or assistance developing your digital workspace strategy? Are you struggling with OS upgrades and application deployment? Do you suffer from device and application management tool fragmentation? Are users prompted to authenticate multiple times in order to access enterprise applications? Then you should consider reaching out or submitting a contact request via advizex.com/contact, or I'll have my contact info here on the next slide. And you can send me an email or give me a call, and we'll be more than happy to assist you and set up a call so that we can discuss some of the challenges you're facing in more detail. So this concludes the Mobility Access and Device Management webinar. If you have any questions or would like to schedule a more in-depth follow-up conversation, like I said, please email me or call me. And then just a final thank you for everybody who is in attendance. Hope that everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.